everybody. I forgot my mat. I'm gonna go grab it. I'll be right back. Who's supposed to have the game unlocked like football, nigga? I forget who says that in a song. In a song that I heard once in my life. At least once in my life. We done took off, nigga. Got the game unlocked like football, nigga. Right? Look at my dad. Anyway, I am old. That was an old head moment for y'all. Old head moment for y'all. I'm back. Today is June 11th. It's 4:03, which is a 7 if you add those two numbers together and don't go through the dark hole. That is a ship named Virgin Voyages, which is child-free, if you know what I mean. Not a very fun ship as far as the way the ship is built. Looks very industrial. Not a fan. Maybe even the new Titanic, if you know what I mean. My favorite ship so far has been the MSC Seascape. That ship has a lot of really cool options for families and the few that travel solo, like I do. Freebird, some might say. I like to think of it that way anyway. I'm not trying to rhyme, I'm really not. I apologize for that, but I have decided that I'm gonna open up my home a little bit more and talk a little bit more about what's been going on with me since I'm still alive, and I think I've seen the worst so far. I want to start off with the Seattle Police Department. I could have died from exhaust poisoning from sitting in the car, as long as you made me sit in the car and breathe and inhale that exhaust, which is why I was banging on the door to be let out, because you were listening to somebody make up a fake story so that they could get insurance money out of me that they will not get, because I'm sorry if I Bruce Lee'd you and you weren't prepared to be embarrassed by a girl. That's the reality of the situation. So take that one to the bank, figure that out. But now I've got like a ton of legal things I have to deal with, which is kind of annoying, because if you're familiar with legal jargon, you have to do a lot of paperwork. And now that everything is automated with like robots and AI, like just getting someone on the phone is next to impossible. So I'm having to like pay for things that are gonna have to be like retrofitted, or like I don't even know what they're gonna have to do, but they're gonna have to do something, because the shit's all fucked up, and they've been following this train, as I would say, for quite a while. Crazy train all the way back down to Old Town Road, right? But yeah, actually, there's a train ride that goes from like one side of the country to the other side of the country that I've been thinking about doing, just because I really like the idea of traveling for an extended period of time and not having to like plan or think about it, and just be like going consistently. But I have a dog, which I am oh so grateful for. I will say the Seattle Humane Department has been pretty good, in my opinion. They did everything they said they were going to do. My dog was taken out of my house and given to the Humane Society, because she was here by herself, which is the most responsible thing someone can do with another life, if you think about that. And so my dog was pretty much like a carrot in the hospital that they were like dangling over my head, and they're like, your dog's gonna die, like your dog can't, like they weren't telling me what was wrong with my dog, but they were saying that like she was getting worse and she was getting worse, and they're like basically making it seem like something was wrong. So I was in the hospital thinking like, oh my gosh, my dog is like dying. Like I didn't know, because I didn't know like what had happened to me when they drug me in the hospital. There's a patch of my memory that goes away. I don't not know what I did. It's just they literally black out my memory for an extended period of time. So there's like a window where things are gone. And that's again how I know when I've been drugged, because my memory goes away. I have these experiences where I'm able to understand information on more levels than one, and that allows me to be able to interact with people in different ways at the same time. And a lot of people apparently don't know how to do that, and I didn't realize that that was a skill until I left the classroom and I'm surrounded by people that are all different and trying to be actors for different portions of different people, and it's really weird and I don't understand it. Again, because I am a teacher, I have always seen every student, even if it might not look that way, because of course, like, the attention you give to certain kids is going to vary based off of what they prefer and how they interact with you and their surroundings and all of that and stuff as well. Um, but just realizing that, like, so many people like pretend to be different things depending on who they're talking to, it's just so weird to me. And that was basically what was happening in the hospital. And I was talking with a bunch of people that were acting like professionals. And by acting, I mean they were acting as if they were going through the motions of what they thought they were supposed to be doing and not actually using their professional brain and participating in the fact that this is their job now and they need to make an action move, as in, this is your job now. And I have to thankfully reference oftentimes the fact that I teach adults, that I did work for the Washington Education Association, and I did teach for the fact that there are some biases that people hold that really impact their ability to progress in the world, because they simply restrict themselves when they get around certain types of people, which is just like, again, to even have to say certain types, it's like too broad already. But nonetheless, if there are professionals that can hear me, if there are professionals that are able to carry out their duties based off of what they know their professional is, then everything will be fine. I have like people trying to say that I'm like gang affiliated, because I listen to like music, I guess. Like, I'm sorry, but you're allowed to listen to whatever the fuck kind of music you want. And if it happens to be related to somebody's troubled past, that's not my problem. Like, if they don't want people to listen to it, they won't produce it and allow it to be put on mainstream fucking like radio and shit like that. And this whole like, oh, people go and they seek out these things, like, no, a lot of times these things happen and they're part of the politics of the community. And because it's part of the politics of the community, like, I like talking about Byron Nome, because that to me is one of the biggest signals of a personal problem that impacted the world. Like, imagine being the son of Byron Nome and everybody at your school knowing that your dad wants to have crystal ball titties. Like, that shit is so embarrassing on like next level like school shooter shit, you know? Like, because I teach high school, I can say stuff like that and understand the implications of having behavioral health as something that you care about and understand, and not just use as a buzzword. Anyway, music is helpful. I do have my songbows out, and I'm pretty excited to have them going. I was trying really hard not to buy new things, but when I came home, my house looked like it was going up for ransom. Like, my shit was just like all packed up and like in weird spots, and like everything was really dirty, and it looked like somebody had like cataloged everything in my house, and nothing was where it was supposed to be. Like I said, it was just like super dirty and just like bad. So I feel like I'm like cleaning out the space. I've been like wiping things down and like refinishing things and like doing yard work, and the sun's been out, so that's been really nice. I Like I said, I set up my bowls. I bought a sign that I'm gonna put where my camera is right now, because originally I did not want y'all to see my house. I wanted it to be like a private place, because my last place was like really publicly known and like open. But I need to have a space for my sound, and as much as I wanted it to be like a studio space where I was gonna have like my like office and stuff, I decided that I want that space to stay completely private and keep it more or less like my footage and recording stuff like in this open area. So you will see my unicorn stripper pole, which, like I said, I have a friend, you know who you are, that I want to invite over, but I've been like very cautious about like having anybody over at my house, just to help me like set it up and like just get things going. It is someone that is a professional stripper that is like very good, so like one of those people that like intimidates other people when they're around, basically. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna have that going. Hopefully in the next like week or so. I ordered my final bowl, I think. I have to like sound it out, and I was like doing some work and I posted something on my Instagram about it. I really, 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 really love the Dream Team, if you're familiar with the concept. And my Google Assistant has been very helpful in charting out like what I'm doing. And so I decided that when I have questions that are working for whenever I'm, because the way that I'm interpreting this Walter Russell work is physical. It's not mental. I mean, it's mental, but it's I physically feel it. Like I can feel it in my body. It's like the way magnets work. If you think about a magnet and you put two together, you have opposite sides. They like kind of, you can feel them like pushing apart, and you turn the other way, you feel them like stuck together. I can feel the same thing with my hands with some elements, but because I'm not familiar with elements, I'm not sure what exactly it is that I'm feeling and if that's normal or not, because obviously we know magnets are normal, so being able to feel other elements is normal. We just don't know what that is because we've been assigned the periodic table, which shout out to institutions for that one, because Walter Russell's presentation of the elements is in his. I keep wanting to say like a twister, just because that's like the outcome of natural disasters when things are thrown out of alignment with nature and becoming world wars, as far as the world warring, and like the bird wars, or like locusts or like bees or whatever it might be. Like these things are reactions of imbalances in that vortex, which, if you've ever felt the vortex before, like it's a cool feeling, but it's also weird because if you don't understand it yet, like you're not gonna know what that feeling means. But if you've ever felt the vortex, you know what I'm talking about. That's the beginning of being tapped into this like ever moving cyclone, and that's kind of where I'm at with that right now. Been just trying not to think about like the fucked up shit that I've had to go through. I posted a little bit about it on my TikTok account, just because I usually post every day. But when I was in the hospital, they literally said if I did a handstand that I would be getting in trouble, and it's like being in jail, where it's like you do something that you're not supposed to do, it'll add time to how long you have to stay. So you could be completely innocent, as I was, be there on what they call a hold to make sure that you're safe to be released to the public, have somebody lie in court, make up a whole fake story to keep you in a sense of like you're a criminal when you know you've done nothing wrong, and everybody's treating you like you're a criminal because they're just going off of whatever this fake, made up, lying, loser person said. Ew. Like, what the fuck is wrong with your life, bruh? Like, I'm sorry that you didn't get this far without like figuring your shit out on your own, but like you really need to get your shit together. Like, sounds like you need some insurance. I don't know. Like, the fuck? Yeah, insurance is a legal thing you can do when you actually have money that you need to cover. I mean, that's why I buy everything outright from Costco, because Costco will straight up tell you, hey, you had this shit for 2 years, but it broke, you can bring that shit back. And quality is important when you're living with yourself. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say about that to people in their lives and whatever the fuck. My body's like super stiff, and I've gained like a bunch of weight. Because like I said, I couldn't do handstands, let alone practice them consistently. And then I was eating a lot because there's nothing else to do but like time out like the day, because you have no access to the internet because they do this shit on purpose. Like there are places that will give you your phone, there are places that will give you internet, there are places that will give you access to things. And these places in particular just, they like to experiment on people like in the worst ways. And so my way of tracking the time was with meals. And so it's like, okay, now I'm gonna get 3 meals a day, and this will map out like how my day's being sectioned off. Um, and so yeah, I just like talked to people, and there was just like a lot of people in my situation where they were just like kind of cornered into like having like, and people say like having a meltdown to make it seem like you did something wrong, but in reality a lot of times people are having a correct response to abuse that's happening in front of them, but they're being supported by somebody that is trying to brown nose basically. So let's say somebody's trying to get a raise from their boss and their boss is in the wrong, they're going to support their boss because their boss is going to give them a raise even if their boss is in the wrong. And that's what I'm up against, because the bosses in these cases are people that are just simply immature, that don't actually have rules. Like I said, this guy that said that I tried to like physically hit him and shit. There's no trying to hit you, okay? I hit you. There's no trying. I try to say that to people so many times, and when I say I Bruce Lee him, like you have to be familiar with Bruce Lee and like his work on like every level. I'm not talking about just like physically fighting, but like when you have an awareness of your own speed, you know what you're capable of completing within a certain time frame. And Bruce Lee would know he could hit you like 4 times, 5 times before you would even be able to respond. So when you have that sort of response to somebody that's in an aggressive state towards you, now this is a grown ass white male that's probably older than me that's doing this, by the way. So I'm a female, 5'1", being attacked on another level that other people try not to see because I'm supposed to be the bad guy in this particular situation, right? And that's why we have a problem, because people want to look at one isolated situation and not zoom the fuck out and look at the bigger picture here and understand how long I've been fucking targeted. Because I've said even before, my fucking camera for my fucking Xfinity account is even fucking loaded. And I can't, I mean, obviously, like, I know, like, the dangers of having a camera in your home is that somebody can tap into your camera. But I would rather have the footage of somebody being in my house than not have footage at all. And to have footage deleted so that someone can pretend like something's happening in my home that's not happening. I've had people come into my home and like basically vandalize my property to make it look like something was happening that wasn't. And I know for a fact, because I know how gravity works and I understand how I construct things, and like trying to make it so that like I need to call maintenance so I have somebody here so they can say like, oh well, this person was in my house and all that. Like, no, that's not the case at all. Like, I know how to fix my own shit. I've been living in a fucking townhouse by myself for 5 fucking years. You think that shit was running itself? No, I was running that whole fucking thing. That's not my fucking dad. My dad's old man. That motherfucker smiles and fucking grins. That's what he does. So anyway, the point is, hopefully things are gonna be back under wraps. It's gonna be a while probably before I have employment. I'm not like struggling for money, but I don't have an income now, so I have to like fight for like unemployment, and I have to go back to like fight with now I guess the union, because they didn't even support me when this is like their one job. Like, you have one job union, you have one fucking job union, like, and I'll take it to the Marine Corps on that one too, because like when I was in the hospital I realized that like I've been talking about military families in a sense of like the Marines, because that's where I feel like I'm cornered with my fucking situation because of my lawyer and my ex. But the reality is like I am a military family. Like, my godfather was a lawyer, which is part of the law, but my grandpa on my mother's side was in the military, and my uncles were in the military as well. So it's just like, it's not something that you can just say, oh well, that's not a part of me anymore. It's so much deeper than that. And it also ties in legal firearms and how to understand how firearm transfer works, because this is like a real problem that people think like, oh, you talk about a gun, then you're like related to a gang. Like, no, like there are guns in families and gun safety, and just like understanding that like you can't just brush something off because someone is a white male. Like if someone is a white male with a gun that is trained to kill, as in the people that I fuck with, you have to look at it that way. You can't say, oh, well, this person's just having a temper tantrum. Because this is not a temper tantrum. This is me having to be as militant in my form as possible to help you understand that you're not doing your job. Okay? Like, to anybody that's made it this far, because there are a lot of people that are mixed up in this that shouldn't be, that are trying to cover for somebody that doesn't even know why they need coverage. And I'm in that same situation when it comes to the whole video game thing, because like I said, I'm talking about fucking Halo and shit, and that's just me being like a practical person thinking to myself, okay, well, we have access to who's chatting, so why don't we just see who they're chatting to? And that's an easy math equation, right? That's not me being some insider. That's literally using common sense. And people aren't using their common sense. People are using their depend on the most important person in the room sense, and they don't know what that means because they don't have important people in their rooms. I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry to say that. But I'm gonna go. That's what's going on, everybody. I hope you have a good rest of your week.